Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of another class and another reflection of that semester class. Sorry you can't see me. Unfortunately, that part of the technology is not working today, but believe me, you're not missing very much. So, we've just had a very quick semester on multimedia apps, and the massive question of the day really is it pronounced Isti, like I pronounce it in my head, or is it pronounced iced tea, like the drink? I don't know. Take your pick. I guess I'll stick with Isti. One thing I figured out over the last couple of classes of taking these classes, I've been kind of doing this CSS grid as my example project, and tech projects easily meet most, if not all, of the ISTE standards. There's just no way around that when you're teaching directly how to code an HTML page or how to make a video or something. You're going to meet all the ISTE standards. It's sort of like when my college asks. In my critical thinking class, how are you going to meet the soft skill of teaching critical thinking? Easily, by teaching critical thinking. So that takes care of the ISTE standards for most of my project. When I do these things, I actually feel like for an old fogey, I'm keeping up with technology pretty well, and I think my the reason for that is many years ago when I first started in computers. I was using then, and I am still using open source programs, applications to do most of my work. It takes a little more sometimes to use an open source project. Maybe the documentation is not that good. You don't have as much information about an open source drawing program as you do about Photoshop. You can't go down to the library and get a book on it, so you got to figure it out yourself a lot of times, and that has really helped me. And in the same way, I've been running Linux for the last 2 years on my home computer, and it's the same sort of thing. Although there are some really good books on Linux, a lot of times you just got to go out and figure it out yourself, and figuring things out yourself keeps you up to date on technology. One thing that, and I've run across it in several of these classes now, is that web services, like Powtoons or Render Forest, these things are great, but I don't know that I would use them for my own materials. I would certainly assign students to make a presentation using those services. Because the drawbacks of the services, the length of time that you can record, having watermarks on it and such, is more than equalized by the students all dealing with the same tool and tools that are easy to use. But for me, I can't imagine making educational videos using something like Render Forest. The the restrictions are just too great. I think you have to sit and use your own machine, um, and figure out how to use real editing software and such to make top-notch videos and so on. And the same is probably true of photo editors and such. On the other hand, there are some great web services out there. I was going to say, making GIF files out of videos is something that goes great. There's lots of websites that'll convert fonts or file formats for you and such, and those are great. And this GitHub, we'll see how it goes here. GitHub was just bought by Microsoft, and I don't know how it's going to go. But I think GitHub is the going to be the gold standard for collaboration on all kinds of projects, not just software projects, for years to come. So even if you're not working with coding, if you're not teaching computer science, I think you should still look into GitHub. They just came out with this educational package for schools and such, and I think it's well worth looking into. Basically, if you're teaching middle school and up, to collaborate with your students. Once again, it's been great working with you, and thank you so much for being here.